Thought Bubble Audio.
Look, up in the sky!
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Welcome to Beer with Geeks with Tim and Frank.
Who are you?
I'm Batman.
I am Iron Man.
Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Hi, Christopher. I'm Nero.
My name is Inigo Montoya.
You're a wizard, Harry.
A couple of guys with a couple of beers and a whole lot of pop culture nostalgia.
Make it so, number one.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles.
Named the dog Indiana.
Life finds a way.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Now sit back and crack open a cold one, because it's time for Beer with Geeks.
It comes in paints.
Shaken, not stirred.
Great Scott!
I was way off. I knew it started with an S, though.
Hi, and welcome to Beer with Geeks, where two geeks geek out with beer. I'm Tim, and with me, as always, is my friend who does love a good season finale, Frank. How are you today?
Oh man, I am sitting here thinking to myself how much I love a good season finale, and we got to watch a couple of them this week, so I'm excited to talk about all that.
Mm-hmm. We did watch quite a few. So, Frank, before we talk about our favorite season finales, could you tell me what you're drinking?
I have been enjoying quite a bit of the Omission Golden Ale.
Ooh, tell me more.
Yeah, Omission Brewing. You're familiar, I know.
I am familiar. It's quite good.
It is quite good. Yeah, my wife recently found out that she has a gluten sensitivity. So to which she was, a little bummed about at first, because she does love bread. So to make her feel better about it, I got her a couple of gluten-free treats. One of which was a 6-pack of Omission Golden Ale, and she's been loving it. I've been loving it. We've been enjoying it. It's a great beer, man. I say this every time Omission comes up, but it's one of the few sort of, I don't know what I'd call it, but one of the few beers that says like, oh, we're, this free, like we're low carb or we're gluten free or whatever it is. It's one of the few ones where you don't feel like you're making a trade off. You're not like, well, it's low carb, so like, Mick Ultra, like it doesn't taste that great, but it's beer.
Yep, I agree.
Omission is one of the few ones where I'm like, no, this is just a legitimately good beer, and it happens to not have gluten. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah, no, I agree. Their IPA is really good for a gluten-free IPA, for a wheatless IPA. But I think the lager is my favorite, actually. It's just like, it's refreshing at the same time, and I think that's what really does it for me. I am not drinking a gluten-free beer. Shame on me. Shame on me, Frank. I am drinking a Two Roads Tanker Truck Sour. It's a passion fruit Gose. And it is delectable, Frank. It's speaking of refreshing, really, but that Gose tends to be like sometimes Gose can be a little too sour, but this one is just right. Like not like biting into a lemon, but like sniffing a lemon.
I'm not a big fan of sours. Goses are the one of the few varieties that I'm not crazy about. So I'm glad you're enjoying this, because this is something that I would probably not bring to the show. So I love it. So it's passion fruit, you said?
It's passion fruit Gose, yeah. So it has more of a sweetness than a tanginess to it, or a sourness to it, which I like, but there's just a hint of sour that it's not like like you said, it's not like a lemon drop or something like that.
Okay, yeah, that's sort of how
where you're like.
I like a lot of sour, like candies and things.
Faces.
Yeah, sour face. But I don't love like a Gose or a sour beer. Like even some saisons are too sour for my taste. So
love les saucons. How I love les saucons. That's good.
Stupid.
Don't call
Why
me
do I
stupid.
do the show with you?
I don't know. It's late. I don't know. We're here to talk about the state of the Arrowverse, Frank.
Yes.
They've all pretty much wrapped up, but at least the ones that we watch, Arrow, Supergirl, and The Flash. I have not watched Legends this season, which is a shame because I've really enjoyed it the past couple of years. It's just it doesn't impact. It doesn't have an impact the same way the other shows do on one another. So it's easier it's easier to sit out. But I've only heard excellent things, and so but I will catch up this summer to make sure I am ready for the crossover next year. So Frank, let's start with Arrow. What did you think of the Arrow finale?
I found the Star City 2049, whatever year they're in, 2040. I found that story actually to be. I love the way they tied it together with the present day.
Oh, that's really not what I was expecting you to say at all. Wow. Okay, good.
I was generally sort of not that interested in that storyline at the beginning, and then as it quickly and clearly became more and more directly related with what we were all seeing. With sort of seeing that, okay, things that are happening in the present day are clearly having a, like sort of pulls a marionette string in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And then it all tied together. I thought really well. So yeah, it was cool. I actually enjoyed it more than I expected I would. The Emiko storyline, I was a little, I don't know. It just didn't do a lot for me.
It actually felt like that wasn't what they were supposed to do with her. And then they were like, oh, you know what? She's not working, so let's just make her the bad guy. And that's sort of what
it seemed like. And it felt very, I guess my real issue with it was that it felt very decompressed. It felt like they could have done that storyline in a couple of episodes and had it been like a 3-episode arc. And instead, they had it being sort of the whole second half of the season. The pacing of this season was a little funky for me because we started with Diaz again, and we started with the prison stuff, and it kind of felt like it felt like season, whatever the last season was, part 2.
Yeah, I think it is. I haven't been thrilled with the villains on Arrow for 2 seasons now. Prometheus was the last good one.
Oh yeah,
Prometheus was good.
I agree.
And these Ricardo Diaz was lame, and now Emiko was kind of lame, and even the what is it? The Dante, the triangle, the hell circles, the whatever this
ninth
circle.
Ninth circle.
Yeah, thanks. That's a really recent comic thing. That's only a couple of years ago. To bring Dante in and all that, and they were also just kind of there. It was just like a throw whatever at the wall and see what sticks. And by the end of this episode, by the end of the season, I was kind of like, I'm glad that it's ending.
Yeah.
I'm glad Arrow's over. Not that I don't. I mean, I always find Stephen Amell a pleasure to watch.
I agree.
Always.
He's a scene stealer.
Yeah, if he sideline his way into another show, I'd be like, great, I'll watch you on there.
Yeah.
But the future stuff, I really didn't care about. There are glimmers of stuff that I care about a little bit. I found the actress who played Mia good. Like, I found her, like, I was interested when she was on screen. I found myself interested when she was on screen, and not really anybody else.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and Felicity, like older Felicity.
Felicity, yes. I'm a little tired of regular Felicity.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But as far as the future stuff goes, I cared about Mia and I cared about Felicity. Didn't care as much about William. Didn't really care about like the Glades. I didn't, and even like
older Dinah and like things like that.
Yeah, like it was cool, I guess, but I don't have the same. I still feel like Dinah's a relatively new character on the show, so it didn't have the same connection of like, wow, there's Dinah older, as I did with like, whoa, Felicity. Like
that's a great point. I did feel that way. Also, I think that Felicity's makeup was like her old like they had almost like perfected it at that point, but sometimes Wild Dog looked like he was in a school play. The way that like his hair was gray and things like that. Just it wasn't working. It wasn't working for me. I did like some of the culture they had created in the future, the Deathstroke gang and things like that. I was invested in those things.
Okay.
But not enough because the show didn't give me enough of them.
Okay.
I was like, oh, what's that about? And then we never really got an answer. Although the Zeta project, can take out any meta, blah blah blah, that kind of thing that is the Zeta project from when we were kids. Remember Zeta, the robot that's like friends with the kids on Kids WB.
I don't.
It's in the
Timverse?
the Timverse. Yeah, I don't think it was his show, but like Batman was on it at one time and whatever else. So that was like that's a deep DC pull and an animated pull and all that stuff. But like,
oh yeah, I don't remember the show, but look at that. It's,
yep, see,
Dietrich Bader and Kurtwood Smith and Michael Rosenbaum.
Yep, there you go.
Wow. All right.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I did not watch this, and I don't. The pictures are not ringing a bell, but I'm throw this in the show notes. I'm sure people know it.
Yeah,
but,
so like stuff like that was cool, but ultimately there wasn't enough super heroics, maybe, or it was a little too grimy and grindy. It was a little too grimy. I'm not really sure what it was, but it really wasn't doing it for me. This season felt a little too like, superheroes nonsense.
Yeah, that's true. It did. But in the end, I enjoyed where the story went much more than I expected to. Like
Last 10 minutes. It's that last
10 minutes. These shows have, and I enjoyed The Flash a bit more. We'll get there, but sort of as a rule, they're kind of they're crushing it with the last few minutes of these finales.
I agree.
They've really perfected that, and they really know how to hype me up for what comes next in terms of what comes next within these series, and then what comes next in Crisis.
Yep, I am completely with you that a friend of mine actually said on the Arrow finale that it felt like a series finale. Like if that's where the show ended, show ended.
It feels like they wrote an ending and then they got their pickup for 10 more episodes, and so they rearranged something. But it felt like that was meant to be a series finale, like them having their honeymoon and living their life and having the baby and all this stuff in the cabin in the woods, and then Oliver being called away. Kind of felt like that's where Arrow ends, and we would get a couple episodes of Oliver in Crisis, and that would be the end. Is sort of my guess as to what they were planning, and then for whatever host of reasons they decided, let's give them 10 more episodes to wrap things up, and I almost feel like it's not necessary, but I guess we'll see.
We'll see. I mean, we certainly will see, but yeah, I don't know. Just I don't know. It was all. I don't know where they would go from there, because it felt like everything was fine. And is it like Oliver's adventures with the Monitor? That doesn't feel right. That feels like a weird last 10 episodes.
It does. And what do you do without Felicity? Like, we know that Emily Bett-Rickards is done.
That's
so
right.
How do you do this without Felicity, especially now that they're married and they're living their life in the woods? I'm very curious. I'm very, very curious how that goes. But clearly they felt like it was necessary to get, enough episodes to cap off the story in a satisfying way, or in a way that they feel is fitting to send off Oliver. So, well, yeah, let's talk about it. Let's finish talking Arrow. Let's talk Flash, and then we'll save all the Crisis stuff for the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So Flash.
Flash. Yeah. I loved this season.
I did, and I didn't love this season. I think the beginning of the season was really strong, and I think the middle kind of dragged, and then it picked up again in the end.
That's what this show does. I feel like it always starts strong, it always drags in the middle, and then it always finishes on a high note. And I think that's one of the things that sort of proves that we really only need 13 episodes to tell these stories well.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Because if you're dragging in the middle, those are the things I don't care about, and I can watch the beginning and the end, and I get most of the story. And because then I have to because I get bored, so I stop watching, and I'm like, oh, I should really watch again because it's ending. So then I binge 6 or 7 episodes, and I'm like, oh my god, wow, it got really good in the last 3.
That is exactly what I did. I literally binged 7 episodes of The Flash this weekend.
Wow, yeah, that's pretty much what I did last weekend. Yeah,
I had 2 long bus rides this weekend, so I used them to watch The Flash, and yeah, wow. that was I'm really glad that I binged them though, because I feel like I benefited from that. I feel like if I'd watched them over the course of 7 weeks, that I might not have been as invested and as excited. I might have lost momentum from week to week. But watching the episodes the way I did, it was just beautiful to watch and so much fun to watch the whole Thawne thing unfold and seeing Nora's connection there and her transformation. Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, it's worth it almost for Nora's character growth and her arc. I'm very surprised that she's done. I was like, wow, 1 season, not what I was expecting. And truly, like Iris crying at the end and holding each other, I was like, wow, I'm actually heartbroken. I'm verklempt right now. I was really feeling it. And what's crazy is yes, it's their daughter, but it's their grown adult daughter,
right? Who they haven't raised yet.
Right. And so for them to feel this connection, I don't know if it's weird or heartwarming. It's I don't know what it is exactly, but I enjoyed all of that. I enjoyed all of that very much. I think that the problem with Flash this season was that both cicadas were so boring.
They were they were boring villains.
They were so boring.
Yeah.
I didn't care at all. It's lucky that Nora was so great. Because cicadas were just truly terrible, and the only thing that made this season really ramp and good is the reveal of Thawne helping Nora and where that led.
I have to agree with you there. Cicada was not necessarily a strong enough villain to carry the season. Not even with 2 of them.
No, and the guy, especially the male cicada, I can't remember his name. Is he's not a good actor.
No, he's not.
Oh my god, it's so bad.
It's just over the top. But I loved female cicada. Did you recognize her?
Yeah, she was on Smallville. She was Alicia. I know. That's why I remember when I told you, I was like, oh, you're going to like who's coming on The Flash next.
Oh,
you're going to like it.
I forgot you told me that. Yes, you did. Yeah,
yes. Oh, yes. Right. I recognized her right away. She was better, but I just, by that point, I was really like, all right, cicadas. Yeah, you're powerful. I get it.
I could not agree more. Yeah, that's exactly how I felt. Had she been the first cicada to arrive, maybe I would have been more interested. Hard to say.
And I think, honestly, I think the concept worked, and even he's caring for his niece. I think all of that actually technically worked. He was not good, and I was so uninterested in him.
Yeah,
I just didn't feel any emotional connection to what he was offering. However, I did love Ralph Dibny this season, who was on a grand scope of a grand detective run this year, and I really enjoyed that.
And it paid off in the end. They paid it off with him actually figuring out that this was all related to Thawne. The dagger and everything was related to Thawne, and that he was going to use it. The fact that Ralph pieced that together is actually really next level stuff for him, and shows how much he's grown as a detective.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Did you catch at the end the file that he opened was Sue's file?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that gets me all kinds of excited, obviously, because you know how much I love the Dibneys.
The Dibneys are great. Mm-hmm.
And I haven't really historically loved this take on Ralph and sort of his demeanor, generally speaking, until this season. So it's been a growth for him. It has been a lot of growth for him, and I'm glad, because I was just so over him before. But now, if Sue might be coming into the picture, I'll be so excited.
Hey, people change, and so I think he's in this middle ground right now, and Sue's the thing that's going to push him into who he's supposed to be.
That's what I'm hoping for.
Elongated,
That's what I'm hoping
man. For. Yeah, crazy that this was Cisco's last season too.
So is Carlos Valdez done?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I see. I didn't know that. I did not know that. I missed that, and so when he gave away his powers, I wasn't sure if that meant he was done with the show, or if he was just gonna be, Cisco again, like he was in the first couple seasons before he had powers.
He's done. Yeah, and I had actually forgotten until the second to last episode. It was take away my powers, whatever, and I was like, oh right, you're done. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. So that makes me sad because he's one of my favorite parts of the show. You know, his dynamic adds a lot. You know, it's sort of like when we lost Win on Supergirl. You know, there's a certain but more. I think he's more tied into the fabric of the show.
I agree because I think that Felicity is really like the template for like the clever, I say funny things, whatever. But Cisco is really, she might be it's almost like if Felicity is, how do I think about this? Oh, so if Felicity is Blade, Cisco is X-Men, and Win is the first Spider-Man. You know what I mean? It's like improving the formula, like kicking off the superhero. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we're getting closer to what the people want and need and things like that. And
Chloe Sullivan is Superman the movie.
And Chloe Sullivan is Superman the movie. Yeah, we don't talk about Chloe anymore. So
I talk about Chloe. I just don't talk about Allison Mack anymore.
Good separation. I like that. Who's gonna fill that role of naming bad guys terrible names?
I don't know, man. Like, who can?
Ralph.
That's
probably
Ralph, I guess.
Yeah.
But has he shown a talent for naming heroes?
I don't know. Honestly, I think if you were going to fill the void like this again, you need a Harrison Wells to do it. The new Harrison Wells.
Yes. Oh, that would be great. That would be a great way to do it.
Yeah, like a almost like a Cisco type Harrison Wells.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be awesome. Like, yeah, it makes sense that Harrison Wells is always like a genius and always, you know, like he could totally do that work.
That's
and
right.
If you gave him that kind of a personality, that would be a great way to do it. I love that.
And a new personality that we have not yet seen from him. Because that's part of the shtick of the show, right? You know, giving a new Harrison Wells every year kind of thing.
I have really come to look forward to that every season now.
I didn't think that I would, and I love it.
I know. I didn't think I would either. I was like, oh, they're keeping Tom Cavanaugh around. All right. Interesting move.
I love that they keep Tom Cavanaugh around because I love Tom Cavanaugh.
Me too. I was glad they did. I wasn't sure how they'd do it, after season 1. And I'm so glad that they have. And I'm really it's now a thing that I look forward to every year. It's like an annual like ritual tradition of like, oh, well, what kind of Wells are we going to get next time?
What's your favorite Harrison Wells? Like you have regular pre-Thawne Harrison Wells. You have, well, I don't know if you can count Thawne as Harrison Wells, so let's ignore that one.
Really.
He's just Thawne.
Yeah.
And you have Harry. You have Sherlock. And you have what do they call him? The drummer guy.
Shoot.
HW something. I can't remember.
HG Wells?
HG, yeah, HG maybe. I can't remember. But either way, I'm not sure which one's my favorite, but I think it might have been Harry because I enjoy how grumpy Harry is.
Yeah, I did love Harry, but I also liked like original formula Harrison Wells, like OG Harrison Wells.
But we don't really know that Harrison. That's what I mean. We don't really because he was.
Well, yeah. I guess I like the idea of him. I liked who he was pretending to be when he was Thawne.
Yes, I agree with that too.
Yeah,
I agree
but Harry, we logged a lot of time with Harry, so I feel like we got to know him pretty well.
That's true. Yeah, we did log a lot of time with Harry. So
HR, it was HR.
HR, that's it. That's right. So we got a couple of nice that like Caitlin has maybe a new Killer Frost outfit on the way. Most definitely, actually, because Cisco made it for her before he took off.
Yeah.
Always nice. Who's going to make the costumes? Cisco.
So many questions.
Yeah. So we'll see. I'm excited to see where it goes next. But I really loved the fight with Thawne at the end. Like, it just feels like such a big deal when he's on screen. Like, it feels like real danger. It felt more dangerous in the last half of this episode or in the, like after cicadas were taken care of, like it felt far more dangerous for for Eobard Thawne to be around than it has all season.
I agree. And I feel like that was he was more dangerous than the cicadas felt. And also that that countdown clock that they instituted a few episodes away from the end, that added a lot of like suspense and anticipation for me. Where now I was excited for like, oh man, there's only 15 minutes left. How can this, like, to think that most of his plan played out for him in the course of like the last hour before his execution.
Yeah, that's
because people kept time traveling back into the room. That all happened in an hour.
That's a really good point. So really good. Wow, what a busy hour that was.
It's
for
like,
him.
that's like Lex Luthor level sort of like mastery of the plan.
And that's why I think I like Thawne so much, because he's not just like, I'm fast. He's like, I'm smart and I'm also fast. Like, I actually don't need the speed to defeat you. I can defeat you because I'm smart.
Yeah.
And that's what I really like about him.
The powers just make him scary.
Yeah. Oh man, when he like when the power goes out, or like the thing, and he just takes out the whole room, and then the ring comes, and then the suit comes out of the ring, but then it rewinds backwards. Oh, so good.
So cool.
So good. I love me some Eobard Thawne, Reverse Flash / Professor Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. Yeah.
I love him. I love it.
Yeah. So
yeah,
so I enjoyed the season. I enjoyed the season, not as much as some others in some ways, but also a lot more in other ways. So I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of like upper middle, I guess, for me. I think the first season is just so good. It's been so hard to defeat, like, get past how good that first season is, and I'm afraid to revisit it. That maybe it's not as good as I remember.
Me too. Me too. Yeah, I do wonder if it's as good as I remember, or if I just sort of put it on a pedestal. But this continues to be one of my favorite shows on television, and I look forward to it.
Oh, Captain Joe West, that's great.
Captain Joe, yeah, good for him. Oh, I'm so glad.
Chief Singh, yeah.
I'm always worried that they're going to kill off Joe.
Me too. It's like this weird fear that, like, that's it, you're done. But no, he likes it. He keeps coming back. So
I'm so glad.
Me too.
Love Jesse L. Martin.
So much. Yeah, it's such, even just being in the background of a scene, he just he's lovely. You know, but honestly, I think he likes it there, and it's an easy gig for him. So, you know.
Yeah. And now he's got Cecile and the baby, you know? So you gotta.
And he has a real story. I like Cecile a lot.
I love her. I love them as a team, like working cases as a team.
Yep. It all works so beautifully. I think that's what it is. I think the Flash's entire team is real strong in a way that, say, like, Arrow's isn't really. Like, not everybody fits in their pieces the same way. And so I think that's kind of where Arrow has been faltering for me in the past couple of years. It didn't always used to be that way. Speaking of Arrow, John Diggle is actually John Diggle Stewart, so he's really John Stewart.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Can I please have a Green Lantern, please?
I just don't know if that's like fan service or if that's like, this is Don't Worry Crisis. But also
probably.
But maybe I don't want to.
Oh, well, I mean, we
inject
did get
myself into that.
Somebody did think he was Green Lantern last, at Elseworlds.
That's true. Like, oh, John, you're not wearing your ring. Oh, yeah, maybe Jay Garrick did. That's right. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, I totally forgot about that. Oh, yes, do it. Look, if you can make Supergirl fly every week and shoot, like, you can have Green Lantern. I actually don't understand why we haven't seen that.
Do you think they'd ever give him his own show?
I would watch that so fast.
Like in the Arrow time slot, but in the winter? After the 10 episodes are done?
I would watch that so fast.
I would watch that so hard.
Well, I think Legends is taking the place of Arrow. So like when Arrow wraps, it becomes Legends.
Okay. All right.
That's I'm pretty sure that's where they're going.
Maybe they split. I mean, yeah. So far, they've been splitting the season with Black Lightning and Legends. Like maybe you give Green Lantern and Black Lightning split the time slot. It would seem fitting that the like spinoff. Well, there's all kind of spinoffs of Arrow, but like the true spinoff of Arrow, the show about the Green Arrow, is the show about the Green Lantern.
Green Lantern, Green Arrow. Yeah, they were Biffles and friends.
They were. That would be really cool. Anyway, well, that was an interesting tangent.
Oh, but then I just feel like now I just want a Green Lantern, Green Arrow show, and I'm not going to get that. Maybe that's what the 10 episodes are, Frank.
Oh, give me that.
Yeah.
Give me that. I wants it.
Anyway, Frank, I'm satisfied with these 2 seasons. Honestly, though, this is not biased because of Supergirl TV Talk or anything like that. I honestly think Supergirl had the best season out of these 3 shows that we watch.
I think so too. But Flash was a pretty strong contender at some points.
Yeah.
I also noticed there was a lot of commonalities across the shows. Like there's like a cure that we're trying to give somebody to depower them. There's like family separated by several years in time travel. Like these are things that were recurring in a couple of the shows. In Arrow, in Flash in particular, those 2 shows are mirroring each other a lot. And then with Supergirl and Flash both having the cure that they were trying to get, a superhero or a superpower cure, there's a lot of sort of borrowed concepts happening in similar time frames. And I can't help but shake the feeling that that's not totally a coincidence, that they sort of like have a couple of sort of storylines that they're sharing with one another in some way. Like, let's do a different take on this sort of different spin on this similar concept.
Man, I honestly did not connect that at all, but you're so right. There were a lot of similar concepts.
I mean, maybe I was seeing it more because I was binging them, so like the trends sort of become more obvious to you then. But yeah, there were some similar things. They were exploring different ideas similarly.
I don't know. I'm not opposed. I mean, certainly I think you're right, and I mean, the writers write in LA for all of the shows. That's where the offices are. So it's not unlikely for them to like get lunch and be like, "Oh, what you doing?"
Mm-hmm.
So, oh, that's a good idea. I could run with something like that. I don't think it's mandatory synergy or anything like that.
I'm not saying that. No, not necessarily. But I do wonder if there's sort of like, "Oh, that's an interesting concept. Here's my spin on that."
Yep. Yep. I mean, it's possible. I mean, they are in some ways all pretty much comic book tropes when you get down to it.
That's true. I just find the timing of it kind of notable.
I think you're absolutely right. And I did not consider that at all. But you're a smart man, and I consider what you say to a highest esteem. So, Frank, I think that I'm satisfied with this. I'm satisfied all around. But honestly, Supergirl was the other ones left like, oh, the Monitor and Felicity's going off into the future. Okay, that's fine. And then Flash, what does the Monitor do? I don't remember. I know Eobard Thawne's like, I'll see you in our next crisis, which is a great line.
Yeah, I did love that.
Because that means Eobard Thawne's coming back for the crisis. But I mean that we've already known that because it's been in the newspaper, right?
Right. Oh, we saw the newspaper update, and we saw that the date got pushed back to 2019.
That's right.
So we saw that, and I guess we didn't actually get the Monitor in that episode. We just got the clock flipping.
Oh, okay. Oh, so he really only showed up in Arrow and Supergirl. Okay. It flipped back. We know the crisis is coming sooner rather than later, which is kind of lame tag because we already knew that, but that's okay. Whatever. Doesn't matter. So, Frank, do you have any crisis thoughts, or do you want to save that for a future date?
At this point, I think maybe we should save it because I think we can do a whole episode on that.
I think we should both read Crisis on Infinite Earths and then come back and talk about that.
Yes.
And then we could talk about what we think is coming. Let's do that.
Let's do that. Yeah. So no, the Monitor didn't show back up, but we got the newspaper and the headline. I'm sorry, the date line changing to 2019. So that's definitely what happened there. Yeah. Let's both reread Crisis on Infinite Earths, and then talk about what pieces we think they're gonna pull from the book, and what breadcrumbs they've laid for us, that would be fun if they were able to make them pan out, and how all the 3 finales connected.
Yeah, man, that sounds great. All right, well then you can find us on beerwithgeeks at Gmail, Facebook, and Twitter. You can rate and review us on iTunes and find us all other places podcasts can be found. You can check out all other Thought Bubble Audio shows at thoughtbubbleaudio.com, and you can certainly head over to patreon.com/thoughtbubbleaudio to give us money to keep the lights on and things such as that. Frank, it's always a pleasure talking to you on this fine day.
Always a blast, my friend.
And every day. So, until next time, cheers.